Chapter 6. The tie plates, rail fasteners, other track materials. 6.1. The tie plates, rail fasteners, other track materials show proper size type specified in TM 85850-2, AFM 8870. And Chapter 2, TM 5627, AFM 9133 shall confirm the requirements of Chapter 3, 4, and 5. Chapter 4 and 5 of the Area Manual of the Railway Engineering. Tie plates, railway fastening, other track materials shall not flame, cut, otherwise are altered. Tie plates of rail fastening, other track materials which improper, broken, or otherwise defective, otherwise defective shall be placed in the proper size type material. The tie plates. Use the tie plates to distribute applied load to the rail with the use both ties assist in the keeping the rail position. They are usually important. The curves provide the additional lateral restraint. The ties, the plates, either the single shoulder type or the double shoulders type. The single shoulders type and the double shoulder type. Installation for the track without tie plates, which shall be installed during the next track with the rehabilitation of the rail placement. 363. The spikes. The rail shall be sufficient number of fasteners and spikes to effect a main gauge that provided sufficient rail restraint. The spikes shall be of the proper size and tie plate used to drive vertical squares with the rail, either the Q or the screw, either cut or screw type, driven with approximately 1/8 of an inch into the space remaining between the head of the spike and the base of the rail. Spike pattern. On the tangent curves of less than 4 degrees, spikes shall include and show the following 6.3. This is a correct tie plate. Correct and incorrect. Basically, you have your rail and your tie and your spike. On the curves of 4 degrees, spike tangents occurs less than 4 degrees. On the curves 4 degrees and greater, in a curve the side of the turnouts, additional spikes are figured for the recommendation. 4-hole tie plates, 8-hole tie plates. Spikes and angle bars shall not be installed in the slots of the skirted slotted joint bars. The angle bars shown in Figure 6.5. Here you have spiking through the angle bar. Correction: incorrect spike pattern. Incorrect spike pattern may by itself and not cause removing, redriving the spikes. However, the incorrect spike pattern shall be corrected with the other maintenance requirements and spikes to be removed. Old spikes shall be plugged in to prevent the accelerated tie deterioration. Missing and lost spikes. Missing spikes shall be replaced. Old spikes shall be plugged and treated with the plug prior to the replacing of the spikes. Loose spikes shall be removed and the holes plugged with the spikes redriven. The spikes beneath the rail base, the head of the spikes have begun lodged beneath the base of the rail and spike has been removed properly redriven. A spike lodged beneath the rail base is an undesirable condition that can lead to the broken rail base. 6.4. The joint bars rail should be joined proper to the joint bar. Rails should be joined proper to the factory of the design constructed with the joint bars. Joint bars may not be altered in flame in any manner, including the bolt holes. Joint bars are not meeting the requirements shall be replaced. The compromising joints rails of different sizes section to be joined in the proper factory of the design and the constructed compromised bars. Taper rails are offset welds. Cracked or broken joint bars. The cracked or broken joint bars shall be replaced if one of the joint at a rail joint is cracked or broken between the center of the holes. The operation of the location shall not exceed 10 miles an hour. If both of the joint and any joint are cracked between the center of the holes, operations over the location shall not exceed 5 miles an hour. Operation shall not permitted over any location where the joint are broken and where the worn loose joint bars all have vertical movement either the rail within the respect to either. To respect to the other, the bolts each joints shall be bolted with at least 2 bolts in each rail. All bolts should be proper size, tightly in place. A bolt is not considered tight unless the spring washer is compressed, closed, and flat against the joint bar, as shown in Figure 6.6. This is a proper bolt installation with the rail joint bar and spring washer, and the nut is in alternating bolts and nuts tie in the rail. Bolts will not which cannot be tightened shall be replaced. Missing bolts will be replaced. Bolts shall be installed within spring lock washers. Notes shall be installed against spring lock washers shown in 6.6. At least one of the full bolt threaded shall extend past the outside of the nut. The bolts shall be installed so that the nuts would alternate on the on the inside and outside of the rail is shown in Figure 6.6. Whenever the bolts joints are removed from the rail joint or contact surface of the joint bar or clean wire brush lubrication applied to the joint bar and bolt threads. New joint bars should be lubricated before installation. Loosening bolts. If a bolt is a joint, loosened with only one bolt access through each rail. Operation shall not exceed 10 miles an hour. Operation shall not be permitted over the location where all the bolts are one rail and when all the bolts in one rail are missing. Rail end mismatch. Any location where the rail end of the mismatch that exceeds 3/16 of an inch on the tread portion of the grade side of the rail, operation shall not exceed 10 miles an hour. 2. The operation shall not be permitted over the location where the rail mismatches exceeds a quarter of an inch. Joint gap at any location where the gap between the rail exceeds 1 inch. Operation shall not exceed 10 miles per hour. Operation shall not be permitted at locations where the gap exceeds 2 inches. Joint bars restricted areas where the joint is installed within 20 feet of the road crossing the outer perimeter of any structure, any location with it restricts to the joint. In the recommendation of the joint that the joint be welded. 6.5. The railroad anchors help prevent the longitudinal movement of the rails commonly known as running or creeping. The railway anchors shall be used as location as tracking subject to the serious movement of the railway expansion and the tracking condition. Rule anchors and application. The general rules for rail anchors are the anchors should be applied to the gauge side and against the side. Same time as the face of opposite rails. The anchor shall grip the base of the rail firmly and full the bearing of the face of the tie. The bearing of the rail anchor against the tie of the distributed removal of the tie, and the anchor shall be removed from the reset. The anchor shall not be removed by the driving them along the rails. The screw tied shall be straightened before applying rail anchors. Rail anchors not meeting requirements for the paragraph 6.5 and 6.5a and b should be removed for the reset removed in the reset. Anchors. C. Anchor locations. When the minimum of 8 anchors per 39 feet of it is recommended, as shown in 6.7. Additional anchors should be used and needed as they should be installed 4 per tie, approximately uniform space along the rail. You see the rail joints and the rail anchors in between having 8 in the ties. At the open of the deck bridges, whenever the anchors are used approaching open deck, every third of the tie shall be the box anchored with 4 anchor per ties for at least 2 rails out of each of the end of the bridge. No anchor shall be applied on the bridge itself. As a railroad crossing, when the anchors are used approaching the rail crossing, every third tie shall be box anchored 4 anchors per tie, at least 2 rail lengths of the accretions as a crossing. 6.6. Gauge rods. Use of the gauge rods are used to help maintain the proper track gauge, but are not substituted for the gauge track maintenance. Good tie conditions. Gauge rods are sometimes used at the following locations: 1. Sharp curves with difficult holding of the gauge. 2. Turnouts just ahead of the switch points and the curved closed rails. 3. Spacing of the gauge rods are used in the sharp curves. 2 to 4 rods should be installed in each rail length. Rods shall be installed at evenly spaced intervals along the rail length. Application. Gauge rods shall be installed in the right angles of the railway, the jaws firmly gripping the base of the rail. Maintenance. The gauge is the rod shall be kept in tight while maintaining the proper track gauge. Bent or broken gauge rods shall be replaced with the track conditions warrant the continued use. Chapter 7. The rail.